Well, hello and welcome to India Ideas. I'm Gautam Roy, and the world these days has been tormented by a virus where there are viruses of different kind. There are electronic kind of viruses as well. And cybersecurity in the new normal of COVID times has become another area of huge focus because of so many activities, online activities, the internet being used more often, not just for financial transactions, for entertainment, for any and every purpose. It is just proliferating wildly everywhere in the world, and particularly in India too, and which is why the question of cyber security becomes very, very important, and it is getting that attention as well, that premium space as well that is required. Even startups are focusing on it. There are about 200 startups in the country that are focusing on cyber security, providing those services and products. And as far as market goes, there is one report by Gartner which says that by 2023, I believe, the market, in fact, even by the end of this year, the cybersecurity market in the country will be about $2.2 billion, which is not much if you look at the world, where it is estimated to be $188.8 billion by 2023. So that's the kind of space that we're looking for startups to get into for all those activities. And this show is all about startups. And let's begin talking about that as well. The potential that is seen. We have with us Vinay Godse. He's Vice President, Data Security Council of India. That is an industry body, a non-profit body that is all about data security in the country. It's been set up by NASSCOM, and it is undertaking various activities to ensure that our data cybersecurity ecosystem in the country is as it should be, as strong as it should be. We've also got Rajpreet Kaur. She's a senior principal analyst with Gartner, which is a leading research and advisory company, and it advises senior business leaders, and Rajpreet's core area is cybersecurity. And we have Karmesh Gupta as well. He's co-founder of WiJungle, which is an India enterprise cybersecurity company. It develops and markets unified network security platforms across 25 plus countries, has a lot of premium clients in the country as well, both within the government and in the private sector. First, to you, Vinay Godse, just tell us, how do you assess the cybersecurity ecosystem in the country right now, considering the kind of threats that it faces?
Yeah, so thanks for getting me in this discussion. So if you just look at the cybersecurity ecosystem, so 6-7 years back, there wasn't any significant ecosystem that we had in cybersecurity, right? But then last 6-7 years back, and we have really matured the way we have been looking at the deep technology startups, and especially in a cybersecurity space, right? So we know that any startups are largely meant for creating new innovation and try to look at the commercial value creation. But the cybersecurity is also, apart from commercial value creation, it's also looked at from the national security perspective, right? And there has been significant focus from Government of India on this particular area, and that's what we see a lot of efforts being put by the government to look at the research and innovation ecosystem in the country. At a NASSCOM Data Security Council of India level as well, we had been taking very concerted action, concerted effort, and putting together executive effort, plus as well as putting our resources basically to see we grow this ecosystem here. There have been a lot of policy intervention that government has brought together to improve the market potential for the cybersecurity startup. There are some incubation, and we also ourselves have set up now National Center of Excellence for Cybersecurity, and that has a incubation facility as well as a research facility at a Noida campus of a NASSCOM. But this is not an effort that we are putting at a one level, one physical location, but we want to multiply that all across the country in academic world as well as the other areas of our incubation ecosystem, basically. So we have been seeing significant kind of a momentum, a significant kind of an impetus from the government sector, from the private sector, and from the industry body like the Data Security Council of India as well. And there have been increasing reliance. Now most of the, at least private sector CISOs, have been increasingly looking at solutions coming from startups.
Great. That is very, very heartening to hear. And Rajpreet, if you could come in at this point and tell us, how do you see the situation developing in India in terms of the kind of cybersecurity needs that are increasingly cropping up, not just for government as well as different institutional bodies, but for private companies as well. Your role is to advise a lot of these senior business leaders too in data protection and risk management.
Yes, Gautam. So I've been covering cybersecurity over years, especially in India. And what I have seen is that the majority of the clients has come really far. Their basic understanding of cybersecurity, how important cybersecurity is for their business, has grown a lot as opposed to few years back. And there are a couple of reasons which has driven that. One is the digitalization of the businesses. More and more websites, mobile applications, the businesses are going global. So they have to make sure that their infrastructure is safe and there is no data breach, right? So it's not any kind of cybersecurity attack might not always be for a data breach to get some data, but also the reputation of the company, right? So cybersecurity has been ever more so important this year as it had been in past few years. Even small businesses, they have cybersecurity heads. Cybersecurity is now a board level discussion. So when I talk about cybersecurity, we have board members to have a discussion and understand that. So the customer maturity has come way long. The cybersecurity budgets have been more as opposed to how they were in past years. So I would say, as a result, there are many new vendors, both international vendors and Indian vendors, who are coming up in the ecosystem, which the clients are evaluating. They want to try and they want to explore new products to embrace this altogether new infrastructure change.
Okay. Karmesh, that brings me to you. You are in the business yourself. You are one of the leading companies, which is very new in its origin. And you're the co-founder. 2017, your company was formed. Just tell us, how did you decide to get into this cyber security sphere? And did you ever imagine that there will be a day when cybersecurity will be talked to this extent, especially when in the COVID era, there's so much remote working happening, work from home happening, and companies are really now concerned about, their data and how everything is up in the cloud and is being accessed everywhere, and it all needs to be secure.
Absolutely, absolutely, Gautam. So thank you so much for having me over here. It's really a pleasure. So first of all, like when you talk about how exactly we entered into this business, so I have been into the cybersecurity for around 8 years now. Since 2013, I have been working as a web security analyst, and then actually started my own, you can say, company, and then been almost, you can say, 6 years into the security journey now. This kind of exposure actually helped us to analyze that there's a distributed architecture which has been followed across the enterprises, right? They have multiple products to take care of, where they need to carry out a lot of POCs. They have to carry out, you can say, or maintain a lot of point of contacts, or maybe manage out the products through different dashboards, which are meant for securing or protecting the data lying across office network or data, or maybe the cloud, and or maybe the remote space. And that's where we realize the importance of having a consolidated product, or maybe a comprehensive security, which Gartner, in fact, in 2019 recognized with a term called SESI, meant for majorly companies who are trying to offer a comprehensive product to the organizations. So this is how we embraced our journey in 2017, and it's like been 3 years. We have served a lot of customers now, having a customer base of more than 1,800 plus across India and outside. Talking about the COVID scenario, specifically about us, we have grown pretty well in this particular last quarter. It's like, in comparison to the last year, first quarter, and if we compare it with this particular fiscal year, it's like 360% jump we have seen in our revenues, along with the customer base, which we
350%,
have.
you said.
360%,
Wow,
360%. Because of the factor, because we are a product which offers the essential stack for office network as well as the remote workforce management. And that's where the need has been. So major of the need has come from the SMBs, because large enterprises were already having the infrastructure ready for it, but it was the SMBs, like companies having, you can say, the strength of 200 or 300 people, who were not aware of it, who were reluctant to actually deploy some sort of security. And that's where the demand actually started coming from, that particular reason. And this has been the journey so far.
Right. Now, Vinayak, in terms of the kind of services and products that are on offer, which have the Made in India tag, how do they compete in, the DSCI's assessment with global offerings, because a lot of the large businesses that really provide a lot of revenue to such companies, they still have, they have faith in these bigger global companies, the ones that are, in Palo Alto and other places.
Yeah, so if you just look at the cybersecurity market, right? So there are 3-4 types of the companies, right? One is the larger cybersecurity technology companies like Palo Alto, you mentioned the Cisco's and McAfee, those kind of ones. So that is one type of the company. Now a lot of cloud service providers also coming with their own solutions, right? And people have been leveraging the cloud provided solutions basically. Amazon, Microsoft, Google have been providing those kind of capabilities as well. Then we have the services company, and then we have the product company basically. And in this current context, I'll talk more about the product company basically. So we definitely see the larger product companies have dominant presence all across the globe and in India as well. But also we also see almost 2,000 to 3,000 new startups which has emerged in last 10 years of time basically. They have been solving a lot of small to significant lighter problem, because the way security is going more granular, more specific, and the domains of security is also now increasing significantly. The value of a transaction is rising significantly. The challenges, the type and diversity and competitive challenge are also rising significantly. So it means you need to have very specific approach and attention to a particular problem set basically. And then it's not only the problem set, a use case, it's also the different type of market as well. So you will not see somebody as a SMB segment has been investing in cybersecurity some 10 years back, but now, as we heard from the Karmesh, so there have been different set of markets as well, and some of the markets are like, for example, BFSI could be a leading market, but because of industry 4.0 kind of ecosystem, a lot of manufacturing companies are now looking at cybersecurity quite seriously. Basically. So means there is a tremendous scope for a lot of new use cases coming in, and tremendous scope for new use cases which can be taken by somebody like Karmesh or somebody researcher working in academic world, or some small startup or some professionals which are working in industry. They understand the issue, they come out and they start their startup in the specific area of security. So if you just look at all that ecosystem across the globe, a lot of innovations are happening, but in Indian ecosystem itself, and we are hearing many stories about those companies like WiJungle, the growth is very inspiring for us basically, and their growth is coming even despite of the competition that we see in this market and other part of the globe as well. So many companies are even now selling into global market as well. So I believe that there is an increasing substance, reality, and success associated with India's own cybersecurity startup ecosystem.
Okay. And in your assessment, Rajpreet, what are the advantages and disadvantages of these homegrown startups and companies providing cybersecurity? A lot of people say that these global companies, the big ones, the biggies really, like Symantec and all, they have big clients and they have rigid structures as well in terms of how they price their products. But those who are homegrown, they're more flexible, can customize their products and meet smaller clients' requirements much better.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So India had always been traditionally a brand conscious nation, especially as far as the cybersecurity product adoption had come. But what happened was that this adoption of international vendors led to some very poor customer experience, especially during the pre-deployment and the post-deployment phase. A lot of technical support issues, and despite investing a huge amount into an international vendor, they could not justify that investment, be alone securing their infrastructure. So there have been a lot of disappointments. And since past 3 to 4 years, rather 3 years, I've seen that customer shift in the mindset to give preference to a homegrown product, which is more localized, which is more grounded. They do understand India and the challenges the Indian enterprises are facing, and the team is more on ground in India as opposed to technical support sitting somewhere who are barely accessible, and also the expertise. So I always tell clients that even if you go with the most expensive solution, if it is not implemented right, they are barely using 20% of that solution. So it's better to have a solution which is not as in depth as of today, but it is completely implemented maturely so that it can actually protect the infrastructure at the right time.
Right. And Karmesh, you're doing a lot of that yourself. WiJungle is developing into a brand. You are already in 25 plus countries. So tell us about that journey and tell us a little bit more about, in layperson terms, what exactly is a unified network security platform?
Okay. So we basically take care of a very basic and crucial element of the enterprise infrastructure security. Okay. We are a company that offers unified network security platform, and which eventually means that we offer a comprehensive product, and that basically helps the organization to secure their essential, you can say, office security part as well as the remote working part all together through a single window. That's what exactly we mean when we say unified network security platform. And the benefits which we have been able to give to the organization is basically having a more synchronized security. Second aspect is more towards the cost, because India is a cost centric market, and when we have been able to decrease their, you can say, investment by 40 to 50%, that's where the real value actually comes in for the customers who are majorly into the SMB side. Third aspect is the simplification in the management. So these three key attributes have actually helped us to grow well in the market, justify our value, justify the product, and make a leap. Now, when you talk, I really want to add up something from the international market perspective, and why the Indian cyber securities have been able to carve out their niche, in even when the existing vendors are there. See, the factor is like, if you go back in 2008 or 9, when digital assets used to be within the network, office network, right, or local area network, then we were majorly overruled by the companies who are based out of United States and Israel.
Yes.
But when the transformation in the cloud technology happened, or you can say the proliferation in cloud technology or evolution of mobile internet, and the increase in threat complexity. So these three are the factors which actually change the dynamics of the cybersecurity entirely. And this gives a lot of space to the Indian startups. Between 2010 to 2013, I would say startups started coming up and working around the cloud security or endpoint solutions. After 2014 onwards, they started working more towards threat complexity related products, where they imbibe more of AI, ML, or blockchain, or maybe deception kind of thing. And this is how we have been able to, or the companies like us, we have been able to, you can say, make our space into the market, justify our value, and are now going global.
Okay. Yeah, it is about justifying value at the end of the day, because when I go to say even the best of the companies in the world who have so many people who really trust and use their platforms for free, such as Facebook and Twitter, have also been hacked. Now, just it just not just does it affect the credibility of these companies, it affects the credibility of those who are providing data security services to these companies as well. So just make us understand, why does this happen even when you have the best of services and products to ensure cybersecurity, you still get hacked, you still have data leaks happening?
Yeah, so the answer lies in the digitization that we all are experimenting, right? So we are working towards a lot of new possibilities, right? And that possibility makes us to really expand the organization, extend the organization, try to experiment with so many new things. Basically, we want to adopt a lot of new technology. We want to create our business model in such a way that we provide better consumer experiences. So many assets are now coming, exposing to the internet. So that's the one part of the answer, basically. But second part of the answer is basically, there are immense possibility, right? Means any system that you think from the security perspective working in a enterprise network, it goes to millions of operating scenarios. There could be a possibility that one operating scenarios probably would go wrong, basically, right? And then that creates a larger cybersecurity ramification. No matter how much you are invested, there is still a lot of unknowns in cybersecurity space. So that's, I think, second part of the answer. Third part is largely because we are still early stage of all these evaluations, interfaces, and adoption, basically. And when we are looking at all of those possibilities, putting all that together is a still big challenge, basically. So the way we are expanding, we are moving all those parts of the technology, and plus the way we are building the business on top of that. So, and then the cloud adoption and all of those new technology adoptions are happening. IoT is coming in. For example, we are increasingly now going for a verticalization of a digitization space, basically, and a lot of new industry verticals are also joining this race of digitization, basically. So that leaves scope for a lot of those possibility. And the attack system, on the other hand, is becoming very organized, becoming very much kind of a resource basically. And sometimes that attack system is so automated, so persistent, and so advanced now. It can really look at the entire attack cycle in a very different multi-stages.
Okay.
Different vectors can be used, and different possibilities can be explored basically.
So things are
no matter how
evolving
much
to be more and more robust and secure, and that is what the Prime Minister also talked about. On Independence Day, when he talked about we'll soon have a new cybersecurity policy as well. The entire ecosystem will be strengthened. Rajpreet, that is the intent, not just in terms of preventing people from being defrauded through phishing or other attempts, also to stop malicious content coming in online, especially on social media. Do you feel the government is on the right track? A cybersecurity policy, the kind of policy that might be framed, the indication that one is getting will be what the country needs at just the right time?
Yes, definitely. The country needs a global cybersecurity policy, but at the same time, I think we need respective customized cybersecurity policies for different verticals, like
Okay.
healthcare, retail. There's a lot of expansion around retail and e-commerce. So I think it is very important to have streamlined standards and guidelines for those specific verticals, but because they are prone to different types of attacks and different types of data breaches, that is very important. Another thing which is very important is we all understand that at the end of the day, humans are the weakest links. So the user awareness and end user trainings, they are very important. No matter what kind of protection do we have in place, at the end of the day, the hacker tries to manipulate the user, either through fraudulent calls, fraudulent emails, tempting them to click on a particular link. And that is very important for an end user. And all of them are not IT efficient. Can be someone like as simple as my father, who has just learned how to use his laptop, but he at the same time he's making digital payments. So self-awareness, end user training, I think more and
Even the
more
most
end users.
savvy users of the cell phone as well as laptops, they get defrauded, or they almost get defrauded, and just by by just damn luck, sheer luck, they avoid being defrauded. And I'm sure the DSCI also has a perspective on the policy that is being framed. Vinayak, like to hear your view on that as well.
So the strategy, and we are closely working with the government functions which are trying to look at this cybersecurity strategy, right? So as I talked about, is one part of national security, and is said to be cybersecurity as a fifth domain of national security, right? And you need to have that cybersecurity policy for various different goals, basically. So development of technology could be one goal, creating increasing preparedness of some country could be another goal, or trying to look at the overall external engagement the country has could be another important goal. It could be innovation research could be another goal. So all of that possibilities and those kind of areas, basically, they should have, we must have a very concerted kind of approach and goal, basically, and that's what other countries are also trying to do that. So this strategy is also important to create the external driver, basically. The cybersecurity usually works for intrinsic driver because you want to protect yourself and your organization, your IPR information or sensitive information, basically. But cybersecurity also needs to create the external drivers, basically. So because something happens in some organization, for example, if it is an oil energy company, could also jeopardize the larger economic security of the country as well. Right?
Yes.
So that's why you need to have a very concerted national strategy to take care of many of those items. One is to create driver, other is to take country ahead to look at all of those challenges, and some of the challenges may not be in the hand of, for example, 5G coming in or many new technologies coming in. So individual organization may struggle to create a defenses for those kind of challenges which are coming in the future.
Right. And the government is, of course, working on promoting startups as well. Changes in public procurement policy have been made, and different challenges have been launched. NASSCOM and DSCI have been actively working with the government on that as well. But Karmesh, as far as the policy is concerned, what is your view on what is needed to ensure that Indian startups in the sphere of cybersecurity get a further leg up as far as being competitive with global companies the world over is concerned. We're not just talking about the business in India. We want a big slice of the global pie as well.
Absolutely, and that's what the country has a vision towards. We as aspiring nation really wants to be the front runner into the industry 4.0, and specifically from the cybersecurity side, companies are really doing it. Coming to the public procurement order, so it's really been a great effort from the side of Ministry of Electronics and IT and DSCI, where they have worked around. Definitely, many exemptions have been given to the startups in terms of the turnover, in terms of the years of experience, or if we come to the place where international certificates were earlier a mandate and they were enforced by the global vendors into the RFPs or maybe the specifications developed by the organizations. So those exemptions have really given a good amount of force or good amount of boosting to the Indian startups, and we as a company have been working into the government space for a long time now, around 2 years. Government e-marketplace and public procurement orders both have actually eased the access to serve the government organizations. Now, the important aspect to understand and modify or maybe to actually monitor is to ensure that our buyers, the end buyers, are actually following the exemptions or the preferences or are actually floating the bids corresponding to the GFR or maybe the CVC guidelines or the public procurement orders which have been laid out by the government after putting many efforts into it. So that will actually give a lot more benefit to the startups in the coming time.
Great. And as far as the consumer level, people like you and me who use phones and laptops are concerned, the incidents of cyber crime have also been rising a lot. Vinayak, if you look at the data of the NCRB, almost it's more than double. If you compare the data for 2016 and 2018, in 2016 it was over 12,000. In 2018, it was over 27,000.
To have the security frame of mind and privacy frame of mind as well when you are dealing and transacting digitally, basically. But then expecting from each and every citizens of the country to have that frame of mind probably would not really hold its ground, right? And that is why the new regulation like privacy that we are trying to bring, and we are now bringing accountability, responsibility as a key principle there, where we are making organizations more responsible and liable for the security and privacy of end citizens and end consumer, basically. That is one important thing that we are doing. Second, technically, is that is happening all across, and it's also, I'm seeing also is happening in India as well. Technically, also you can divide security in such a way that you reduce the cognitive burden on the user, basically.
Okay.
So reliance on user action for security, probably because user will be, otherwise then user will be concerned and will not be able to do the transaction. So if you try to reduce the burden, cognitive burden of user on security and privacy, then we'll have more digitization, basically.
Yes, so things rapidly need to progress in that direction, and we all need to be more mature in terms of our use of the internet and other devices and apps and everything that opens up a whole new world, a huge world for us. But at the same time, we need to be cautious as well, and which is why the role of our startups and the entire cybersecurity ecosystem becomes very, very critical. And let's hope it develops rapidly to meet the demands of today, which are rising, as we speak as well. Thanks a lot, all of you, for joining me today on India Ideas.